Hey, how about a nice live spot to get things rolling? Let me tell you about Smoky Rose, the Tex-Mex barbecue joint. We are quite fond of it. So are people over in East Dallas. It's in the heart of their community. You need the burnt ends at Smoky Rose. You don't just want them. You need them. Trust me, it's brisket that melts in your mouth. All their meats are smoked in their wood-burning smoker. Low and slow, the right way to bring out the best flavors. And if you want to go the salad route, well, they got several of those to choose from, and they are all loaded with the freshest ingredients. Whatever, you won't go home hungry at Smoky Rose. And don't forget to grab a carefully crafted cocktail. And the vodka bar will be open. You can count on that. It's located in East Dallas, right across the street from the Arboretum. Smoky Rose has the perfect seat for you inside in a large comfy booth or on their patio. They are open for brunch on Sundays, happy hour every day from 3 until 6. They're located at 8602 Garland Road in Dallas. And we will be there on the 11th of October. We'll be there from 5 until 9. The whole gang will be there, along with many of our cohorts. Who knows? This man that we're about to introduce today may be there. I don't know. But you can join your old friends and new hosts from every show in the Sunset Lounge. Shippy and Grooves will be there. Beer 30 Sports O'Clock will be there. The Clubhouse, the Angle with Mac Angle will be there. And new shows such as Insurance Unhinged and What You're In Game. And, of course, the entire Your Dark Companion crew is going to be out there. That's October 11th from 5 until 9 at Smoky Rose. So everybody come out there and see us. But before you do, stop by there. Try it out for yourself. Believe me when I tell you, you will not be disappointed with the Smoky Rose.
Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, Sports Talk. Baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We got a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
Texas Rangers win the World Series.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming. The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off set. This is a cool night or what? Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
Hello, and welcome into another episode of Your Dark Companion. We are glad you are with us no matter where you may be, no matter when or how or even why you may be consuming this podcast. We are glad to have you out there on the other side. It is the 2nd of October. The calendar is flipped. We are now in the optional month of October, where it is okay for you to wear pants if you want to, or if you don't want to wear pants, wear shorts. There are no mandates in the month of October or April. That's why they call it the optional month of October. And we are in it and very glad to be so, because sooner or later, the weather's going to change. And when the weather changes, you know what that can mean, Shoopy.
Sure. That is changing.
Look who we have with us today. Look at him over there.
Gross.
It is Ben Rogers of the
Yay.
Ben and Skin Show.
Hello.
Hello. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you as well.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for the invite. I got to tell you, I'm a little nervous.
Why?
Because you make me nervous.
Why do I make you nervous? You make me nervous.
You make me nervous. It's not your fault. It's my fault. But because of who you are and what you mean to my life, and at so many different crossroads of our interactions, you've thrown me massive curveballs where if I thought I knew the pitch that was coming, it wasn't the pitch that came. And every time I leave those situations going, I just respect the hell out of it. I like the way your brain works.
Huh. I didn't know it did work. Most people hate the way it works.
I'll give you an example. When Skin is out battling cancer and I'm doing a show at the Eagle with KT and Christina, and I'm like, well, we don't know how long he's going to be out. I don't know if it's prolonged. I really don't know what the situation is, but I was like, what if we called Mike Rhyner, and who to us is a god, because obviously we fell in love with talk radio by listening to The Ticket, and wouldn't even have this career if you didn't start what you started. And so I called you and said, hey, Skin's battling cancer. Would you mind coming in? And I expected you to say no. And that was an awesome curveball you threw. You said, absolutely. When do you need me? How long do you need me? When are we doing it? And I was like, holy shit, this is sorry.
Well, that's okay.
No, you can fucking cuss.
All right. I was like, this is rather amazing. And you came in, and radio, as you know, can be such a difficult business at any point. If you get one little tiny victory, it can keep wind in your sails for a long time. And you just doing that kept wind in our sails during a very challenging time in our career.
Well, now, would you like to hear my version of that? Because
yes.
I do remember that. And first of all, I was very surprised to hear from you, because I knew what had been happening with Skin. I knew that he had been out, and I knew that you'd been having, all kinds of people in there, but I never really thought you were going to work your way around to me. In fact, it really didn't cross my mind at all until that day that you called. And my first knee-jerk response was to say thanks, but no thanks. Because there I was, nestled in the comfy confines of retirement, not looking to get back into the game or anything like that. But right after I said that, something else kicked in. And that's what's wrong with helping a brother out. And so that kicked in, and you hit me with that at the right time, and that won out. The help a brother out side of things won out. So, okay, I went up there and we did the show. And I thought that was that.
And that was huge for us on many different levels. Obviously, it was a big boost. It was exciting, and it was really cool. But just having your stamp of approval on our show on a radio station that wasn't The Ticket was pretty powerful. And I remember some people going, wow, he did that, huh? So he's willing to go on that station. And I was like, but that was not the first curveball. I had reached out to you because we were dealing with some challenges of, we were working with the Russ Martin show at that time.
Yeah.
And I had called you to get your advice on some things. And I didn't know if you were going to say, hey, man, lose my number. And that was a curveball, because you were like, yeah, tell me what's going on. How can I help you? And when we talked about it and how some of those unique challenges, you gave me some great advice, and you didn't want anything for it. You were just happy to give me that advice. And so that's actually the bridge to why I felt comfortable even inviting you to come do that show with us while Skin was out. But after that, I called Skin, and I was like, I think he would do more than this. And he was like, what? I go, I think he might want to I think we could probably talk him into coming on regularly every once in a while, or I don't know, and he goes, no way. I go, we should at least ask. And that's kind of what led to us seeing if you had interest in doing something more regular.
Well, first of all, I would do anything for you or Skin. Anything you want, you've got from me. It was that way then. It's always been that way.
Let us put this hot dog in your mouth. Let's have some hot dogs. I'm actually because if I go back, so when we were at The Ticket, it was I think 2001 or something like that, doing the Mavs postgame show to 2007. And if I ever had the opportunity to pass you in the hall, I would just hope that you wouldn't kill me with laser eyes. I didn't know, so I was like, I don't even know if he really knows who we are. But then there was the first major curveball was the Fan had these stupid ass promotions. We learned a lot from the ticket. And then the best thing that ever happened to us was leaving the ticket probably and forging our own path.
Yeah.
But when we got over to the Fan, we were like the station, all the shows were in silos. The morning show had their listeners. The afternoon show had their listeners. We had ours. And listeners would come up to us and go, man, sorry, I'm a G-Bag fan. And I'd be like, we're on the same team. Like, what do you, like, we were on the same station as them. Or I'm a Sean and RJ fan. And I was like, wait, we're a team. And so we kept wanting to take what we learned from the ticket and have all the shows like be friends and have the listeners be friends and things like that. But we sometimes we're successful with it. But they had these events where it was called Sausage Fest, and they had it was like, hey, let's go grill some sausages in downtown Dallas and have some bands. But the hosts weren't really that big of a part of it. And we were in the grind of corporate radio. We were kind of down, and we were in the back of the stage by a chain link fence. And we're like, holy shit, there's Rhynes. And you were just taking a walk because you live downtown, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, we're just going, hey, we're kind of, should we say hi? And we're like, yeah, let's say hi. And we said, hey, Mike, how you doing? And you just walked right over the fence and talked to us. And we thought that was pretty damn cool in itself. And, that it's so funny the way those little interactions, because I mean, each one kind of led to us having, more confidence or courage to talk to you about each next thing. But I think that was one of the first ones.
Well, it kind of bothers me that you felt like you needed courage to talk to me, but at the same time, I understand it because in those early days of the ticket, I was very protective of the thing. And I only wanted people in there that I knew and that I approved of. And I didn't know you guys. So I was, well, I was going to say probably, but there's no probably to this. I was a good bit more red-assed about things than I needed to be. And I had to get over that, and I had to be brought around by you boys. And over time, you did that. I'm not very good at hanging on to stuff like that, believe it or not. But over time, just let me be for a while. And just work me, and I'll get over it. I'll get around it, What?
That was Grego.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another
Case in
example.
point.
Yeah, that's another case in point. I was never more red-assed about anybody than I was him, and I haven't totally forgotten, the way I felt at that time when all that stuff with him was going down and everything. But now, years have passed, and I see that it's not productive at all to hang on to that stuff. Now, I can't quite totally let it go, but it's not like it used to be. And that's kind of the way it was with you guys. You guys worked me for a little while and wore me down, and I came to see that these guys are okay. In fact,
okay.
I kind of like these guys.
They're all right.
That's awesome. I love it.
What's going on with Rollertown? I know that's something you like talking about.
Oh, I love talking about Rollertown. And, we have a sign in this room, a 10-tacker, which Becca put up for us. And thank you guys for doing that. When I called my brother about that, I thought he was going to cry. He's our CEO. And Skin and I go, hey, they're going to put up a Rollertown 10-tacker in there, your dark companion. And he was like, what? Are you kidding me? Rollertown is, it's really the culmination of our entire voyage doing this entire business. Because, what we realized at one point was we're essentially growing brands. When you work for a radio station, you have, these partners and you do these live reads and you're growing brands. And like, for instance, one of them was Balcones Whiskey. Balcones Whiskey, a whiskey out of Waco, Texas. And my brother was the CMO. And so he believed in us. And so we were endorsing Balcones Whiskey. Well, we had great success with that. Their sales in Dallas-Fort Worth were really high. And then eventually I think Balcones was sold to Diageo, and everybody involved in that did really well. But as an endorser, you just have a small part in that. But you kind of work for the corporation. and you're helping this company grow. But we wanted something that was our own. And so we were on the lookout for, we knew we couldn't have a Ben and Skins dry cleaners and Ben and Skins pizza and Ben and Skins sports bar. Or whatever.
Why not?
I was going to say, what's stopping you?
Yeah, why not?
Because I think
Let's have Ben and Skins dry cleaners.
I was going to say, I would love to get my shirt pressed by Skin.
So
I would too. I'd love a Ben and Skin car wash.
Yeah. Skin in a bikini.
We were just looking for one thing, and
Yeah.
I'm at my son's youth baseball game, and one of the dads is just small talking, and he goes, we bought a building that'd be great for a gun range or a brewery. We don't know what we're going to do with it. And I was like, brewery? Interesting. And so that sparked this idea where we were like, hey, what if it's a brewery that we started? And so we started Rollertown Brewery in Salina, Texas. The day of our grand opening was the day that the state was closed for the pandemic. Jeez. Our big grand opening event was the day. And because we didn't serve food, we were shut down. And we opened up a website. My brother built a website. He'd never done that before. We said, you can come in 3 weeks and get 4 packs to go, but you can't stay, and you got to drive to Salina to get them. And we put it up for sale online, and we sold out in 57 minutes.
Really?
And we're like, okay, there might be something here. And so we've just been scrapping and clawing. It's another incredibly difficult business. And we've grown and grown and grown. And we announced a deal with the city of Frisco. So we're building a big new facility on Main Street, 2 doors down from Toyota Stadium and FC Dallas. And we're going to build a big, giant, massive entertainment facility and brewery. And the thing I'm probably most proud about is along the way we developed our relationships with athletes is we never burned any bridges. We, would get inside information, and then we were right in front of a microphone, and we never betrayed that trust. And I'm real proud of that. And so when the time came for us to go to some athletes and ask them to invest, they all did. All the ones we asked did. And so,
and it's a funny thing. They take notice of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't forget it, because I too have built bridges with those guys and never burned them. And they do remember.
Yeah.
I mean, you treat them right, they'll treat you right.
Exactly. And there were times where, and this, when you have someone on sports talk radio, they're like, okay, you're having Mike McCarthy on. Well, tell him he sucks. Don't be a P. Like, how come you're kissing his ass? Tell him he sucks. I'm like, well, you don't understand. He's a guest on the show. It's not what this is. But
Yeah.
That.
I get that, but they don't.
Right.
They think that, you get a guest on your show that maybe doesn't have things going real well for him right then, or maybe the team sucks or he's not playing well or whatever, then you should just go after him.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
I mean, if you want to, or if you don't want to forge a career, I guess that's how it works.
Right. The other side of that, you went somewhere that I never had the courage to go, and I think all of us have wanted to do this who've interviewed a guy. And this is not when you're interviewing a guy who's a local guy who you have a long-standing relationship with, but say somehow you get some big-name athlete on the show, and they're just not terribly interested in doing the interview. And what you did with, wasn't it Kenny Lofton?
It was Kenny Lofton, yeah.
That is something that every radio personality in the world is like, yes.
Everybody had their lighters out for them.
Yes. You're like, you're not terribly interested in this, so neither are we, right?
Yeah, well, I was getting one-word answers. What I didn't know at that time is that's really all anybody ever got from him. He's just not one of those guys that likes to do interviews. But if you don't like to do interviews, what'd you say yes for?
Right.
If you don't like to do interviews and you don't want to come on our show, fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the end of the world for anybody.
Yeah, it's not like the ticket was the rights holder, the Rangers, or anything like that. There was no obligation for
No, there absolutely
Kenny
was
Lofton
not.
to join y'all.
And if he didn't want to do it, all he had to do was just tell us no. And that whole scenario never happens.
Yeah.
But he did come on, and the rest, as they say, is history.
That was Giant Ball's power move. All right, see you later. And that's when you're listening to something and you realize how special it is, because you're listening to that going, holy shit, this is the place to be. You know what I mean? It's like, he's not going to play the game. This is the game. It was the closest Skin and I ever got to that was Mike Evans, the A&M receiver, for the Bucks. And we didn't have the balls to do what you did, but our version of that was, as soon as the wheels came off on the interview, we just started asking him the worst questions ever. We're like, Skin's like, what's your favorite animal? And he's like, I don't know, zebra. And just boom, going right on to the next thing. It's like, this interview really sucks, but we didn't have the balls to say it.
Well, I don't know if it took balls, but maybe he caught me on a day where I was already kind of pissed off and didn't need much more to shove me over the edge and get me to do something stupid. That was a long time ago.
I was going to say, to be fair, I think that was probably around 2007, I think, when Kenny Lofton was with the Rangers.
Yeah.
That was near the end of Grego's time with the show. Yeah. So there was probably a bit of tension each day.
Probably
around
so.
that time.
Probably so. So exactly what made you want to get into radio?
Ooh.
So Skin and I were rappers, as you know. I mean, I'm washed.
He's done it.
I'm washed up.
He can.
But
he'll come up with something in just a second. You watch.
We're just old men
It's
now.
going to blow your mind.
But thank you, Grooves. No, stop that. But we were still chasing a music career, and we'd gotten pretty close. We'd opened up for House of Pain and Naughty by Nature and some pretty big name acts, and there was a local group called Mad Flava, and they had signed to Priority Records, and we were friends with them because Skin interviewed the DJ Baby G, and so they kind of liked the vibe of what we were doing. Sorry if that's my phone going off. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And they were like, let's let these guys open up for us. And they were a big deal. So they opened up for everybody. And so we kind of rode their coattails and got to open up for a lot of people. And we got pretty close. There was one point where Salt and Peppa's label was interested in us. I don't know if they really offered a full deal or whatever, but we were smoking a lot back then as well. And, we'd gotten pretty close, but we just couldn't get over the hump, and probably had something to do with smoking too much. But we didn't make it, and so we were still chasing it. It was escaping us, but we had jobs as couriers. I had a piece of shit Jedi that had the car stereo stolen from the state fair. I had robbed my mom of her jam box, just took it from her house. It was broken, and I had a coat hanger antenna. That was riding shotgun for me. We would go to this business card company at like 4 a.m., cut business cards, and then go deliver them to print shops all around the Metroplex. And when the ticket came on the air, we were listening. My brother tells me I was the 9th caller ever to call into the ticket, and that was a big thing for me. I was the 9th caller. And so I fell in love with the ticket. And I never studied journalism. I never studied radio, television. But
so you were on the first Skip Bayless show?
We listened from
day one. And we were like, this is different because these guys aren't, and not to take a shot at anybody, but they're not sports dorks. They're not nerds. They've got sports credibility, but I'm like, these guys are musicians and they're in bands and they're funny. And this is edgier than just give me the box score. And we fell in love with it. And so all day, every day, Skin and I would be driving our delivery routes. We'd just be listening to that station all day, every day, listening to the ticket, and fell in love with it. And so we never said, hey, let's go be in radio. We said, holy shit, let's go try to get in at the ticket. And, Skin's dad is a basketball coach. He's brilliant. His brain power could be used for anything. He just chose to use it for music and sports. And we just kept trying to weasel our way in, and finally found a crack and got in. And we did the Mavs post-game show. And Bruce Gilbert, who named our show, he's like, why don't you we were calling it Basketball Jones. He's like, why don't you just call it Ben and Skin? That's your names. We're like, yeah. We were sending him, we were on Fox Sports 1190. And we were doing the show Basketball Jones, and we were sending him, I think, CD-ROMs. And we were like, would you mind listening to this? And he did it out of the kindness of his heart. He coached us. We didn't even work there. And then they gave us the Mavs postgame show one year, and we had arrived. Like for my whole family,
that was the moment that my family was like, okay, maybe Ben's not a complete fuck up. He's got on it at the ticket. And so we were doing the Mavs post-game show, and we turned that into a Saturday show, into vacation fill-in stuff, and we were like, holy shit, let's figure out a way to do this forever. This is awesome. So had the ticket not existed, we wouldn't exist in this business. But I don't know if you remember this, but the wheels came off in one of the first Mavs post-game shows we did. We Skin was destroying somebody. Like, he was just annihilating something that happened in the game. And Mark Cuban calls in. And I'm like, Mark Cuban called in? We made it! But it turns out he wanted to call in to argue with us about the point Skin was making.
Yeah.
And so he starts arguing with Skin, and we don't really have a good familiarity with the clock. And at that point, I think the argument went on for 45 minutes. And we blew through commercial breaks, and he's going at Skin, and Skin is not holding up, going right back at him. And I'm like, guys, let's just lower the temperature. Isn't it great that we're all talking? And Skin's like, shut up, Ben. Mark, here's why you're wrong. And it's like, it's like example of our relationship. And so the next day, Mark Cuban goes to Dan Bennett and says, you need to fire these post-game guys. Get rid of these guys. I don't know who they are. I don't know where you found them. Get rid of them. And Dan Bennett said, hold on, Mark. I'm going to let Norm Hitzges review the audio. And if Norm says that they were making things up, because that was what he was saying. Cuban's like, they're making things up. They're not even on point. This is not accurate. So they had Norm Hitzges listen, and our fate was in Norm's hands. And Norm listened and goes back to Dan and goes, not only did everything that Skin guy say was right, but where the hell did you find him? He's good. And so it had nothing to do with me. And so Dan Bennett goes back to Mark Cuban and says, we've analyzed and listened to the tape. We don't have any problem with anything they said. And so if you want to kick them out, great. You'd be doing us a huge publicity favor, because we can say the outlaw Mavs postgame show that got kicked out of the AAC. If you want to kick them out, go right ahead. And so because of Norm, Dan stood up for us, and we got to keep on going. But this whole thing could have been derailed at that moment.
Yeah. All right, let's go back before all that, though. Let's go back to when you were a kid. Did radio mean anything to you then?
Oh, yeah. It was everything. It was before Friday night videos came along. That's where we got our music. And, when I was a kid, I think my brother had the zoo sticker on his door, and I had the eagle sticker on my door. And it was like, we were all about it. If you could get a Q102 t-shirt or something like that, you had made it. And so I remember Van Halen tickets had gone on. I want to say I was in 6th, 7th grade or something in Richardson. And Van Halen tickets went on sale for a show in Dallas. And I think they went on sale at Ticketmaster. And we snuck out that night and walked from Richardson to Walnut Hill in 75 to get Van Halen tickets, because that's what we were into. And so that's what we listened to on the radio. And so absolutely, growing up in Richardson, all the local stations were a huge part of our radar.
Now, were you really serious about being a rapper?
Oh, yeah.
You were, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. I put everything I had into it. So when I was growing up, again, I think it was 8th grade, I loved rap music. I would listen to, what was the public access station here? God, I can't believe it. With
KNON?
KNON.
Yeah.
Easy Eddie D and D Ask You had hip hop shows, and I would listen to them. And so I remember them playing, it was like Will Smith when he was first coming out. And I was like, wow, listen to this storytelling. This is so damn cool. And then I was into the Sugar Hill Gang, and I was into all those things. And so I never envisioned doing it myself until around 8th grade. I remember being in class, ignoring the teacher, and I was writing rap. And I had spelled rap wrong. I wrote W-R-A-P. Just growing up in the burbs, not really knowing what the hell's going on. And so over time,
did the teacher correct you?
They were just like, you idiot. You need to learn a trade. And so
did you learn to weld after that?
That's when I picked up welding. No, but later on in high school, one of our good friends, Todrick McIntosh, was one day I saw him at school and he was wearing a milk carton in through his belt loop. And it was, and I was like, what is that? And he goes, MC Milk. You know, you don't know him. Milk is chilling. Yeah. Big Milk at that time was pushing their agenda. But, and so different things kept happening. I kept getting more and more interested in it, but never interested in doing it myself or pursuing it. But Skin and I would be at these parties. We partied way more than we should have at a young age. And whenever there was a house.
What kind of parties?
Yeah. And we had parties. We went to parties.
I'm saying what kind of parties?
Just dumbass high school kids. Hey, their parents are gone. Let's go drink a bunch of beer at their house. Let's play quarters. Let's play drinking games. Let's listen to music.
Okay.
We're talking about a lot of holes.
Yeah. Exploration. And so we would always end up going to the roof, and we had a friend who could beatbox. And so this guy's name was Ty Taunton, and he could beatbox. And so we would just find ourselves on the roof of these parties freestyle rapping.
I know, what is beatboxing?
You know, making the drum sounds with your mouth.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's what you needed. You had to have a beat to get going. And yeah, baseball, baseball. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so
there you have it right before you my rap career.
And so we got into it, and then at some point, this is one of my favorite Skin lines ever. When I tell the story, I had gone to a junior college and then went to Texas Tech, and then he had gone to the University of Texas. And by the way, we missed over 70 days of high school our senior year. 70. RISD had
just cutting school.
RISD had this policy. They tried it for 1 year. If you had an excused absence, you could miss as many days as you wanted. So we found out where they were going to match the signatures on the excuse notes, and we forged that. And then every excuse we had would match that. And so our senior year, I think he missed 77 days. I missed 71, 73 days. We would be at school, so our parents didn't know, but we would go to all 4 lunches, peruse the hallways, drop in a class sometimes. But
now, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute here.
You were there, though. I didn't realize that. I thought y'all were still going somewhere. I didn't realize that's where you started having your 2 sandwiches a day problem.
Yes.
How can this even be? I mean, if they think that you're not there because you've got an excused absence, but
You're
then
just
they see you walking around the halls.
Yeah, they got rid of the policy after 1 year. But
did they never figure this out?
So they did after the year, and so
And they were the reason.
my dad got a call. A long line of calls that he got that were very disappointing calls to get. But he was like, but keep in mind, our style of like being class clowns or whatever, we were never disruptive to where the teachers didn't like us. They liked us. We were friends with the teachers. We weren't jerks.
Yeah.
We liked cracking them up. But so the vice principal, who I knew very well, calls my dad. Mr. Rogers, we need to talk to you. I need you to come down here so I can tell you what happened. And my dad goes down there and he says, well, Benji, that was my name. He goes, Benji missed 73 days of school. And my dad goes, what? And he goes, yeah, and we've got this stack of excuses here that we believe are forged. And so that's going to be 77 absences. He's going to have to repeat, his senior year. And my dad's like, oh, God, And the vice principal goes, unless you tell me these are from you. we like Benji. We think he's a good guy. And, if these are from you, we're just saying he's going to graduate, no problem. Are these from you? And he's like, yes, they're from me. And so we graduated, but this is the point I'm making is that I graduated with like a 69.99999.
Nice.
And Skin was on the honors roll. Even though he missed 77 days, he was graduated with the white thing around he was on the damn honor roll, missing that many days.
That is so Skin.
How do you manage that?
See Skin. Have you met the guy?
I don't know, but he
just knows things.
So he was able to get into Texas. I applied to Texas. They were like, ha! And then I applied to Texas Tech, and they were like, you got a Texas driver's license? You're in. Come on. Anybody's welcome at Texas Tech.
I got in too.
Yeah, you did? Okay. So
he heads for Austin.
Yes.
And you head for Texas Tech.
And around this time, we were probably smoking a lot more and into hip hop a lot more. And when we started making hip hop, and we would go to a studio and actually record songs. He was really good at production. He would make the beats, and I would do most of the rapping, and he would rap a little bit. And we started doing these shows, opening up for these bands, and we're like, oh my God, we're going to make it. We're going to be huge rap stars.
Now, where were shows like this taking
Deep
place
Ellum.
at that time?
So Exodus and Deep Ellum was one of the main spots. There were a couple different spots around that time, and weirdly, we somehow got connected with the Mavericks, and so we were like friends with Tony Dumas and Donald Hodge and guys like that, and we ended up shooting a rap video at one of those spots down in Deep Ellum, and we were certain that we were going to make it, and so we dropped out of college to pursue that. And my favorite line that Skin says is, we found out later you didn't really need to drop out of college to pursue it. We could have just kept going to college. And so, we chased that dream. We crashed and burned it. And when we didn't make it, I was devastated. I thought it was my whole identity. I wanted my life to end. I was like, I'm devastated. But what I didn't realize, and I realize now, is when you chase a dream and you fail, it gives you the courage to chase any dream because you're kind of bulletproof at that point. You've had your nuts kicked so much. You're like, oh yeah, why wouldn't we try this? And so when it came time to trying to get on the ticket, we're like, why not? We just tried to make it in music. Why wouldn't we try? And one of the most interesting things about life to me is we got really good, I think, at making music and freestyling, where you're coming up with the rap at the time and spontaneously, and you can't write it down. You're just boom, boom, boom.
I remember the CD you put out.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And it is still one of my favorite CDs.
Dude, that is another curveball
that I have.
You have been a supporter of our music, and that has always meant so much.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
I've told you what I think of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was really good. Now, I might be jaded a little bit just by the fact that it is you doing it, and it's kind of incongruent to me that a guy like you would be doing music like that. But I think that I could put all that aside and just judge the product for what it is. And I mean, back in the day when you guys were doing it, you gave it to me, and I believe I told you what I thought of it.
Yeah.
That I thought it was great. And I still do, man. I still do. You're really, really good at it. For most people, doing something like that would be kind of a lark,
Yeah.
But you were really, really good at it.
Well, that's really nice of you to say. I think
I bet you still are.
I'm washed.
Let's get it going again, man.
I'm totally
You're not washed.
I'm totally. This is one of my favorite
listen
songs.
to this.
This song is about a metaphor of working too hard and not realizing what's important in life, and comparing it to an astronaut who's going to get lost in space, and it's too late to get back and realize that his wife and kids were the most important things all along.
Looking back on the planet so blue and beautiful, the silence was poetic and his heart was full.
So it was fun.
Reminisced about decisions that led to this. He had time on his hands to connect with this.
That's greatness.
But that's me.
Yes, that's him.
So, but the thing about it is that we heard intros on the ticket. We heard intro songs, and we were like, okay, those intros sound like they were not made by professional musicians. In some cases, I was like, I think we could make a good intro song, and they might value it because we're in the studio, and so we started recording these intro songs. We did it for our Mavs post game show, and then we made one for Norm that people still remember. He doesn't come to laugh when
you
he
are now
covers the
listening
draft.
to 1310. Please take your seats. We're about to begin.
Yes, what is it? You're about to
spend some time with a legend ever since the decade started with a 7.
Yes, and it was like, wasn't that the one where he doesn't come to laugh when he covers the draft because he's an old school true pioneer of the crowd. And I'll be driving down the road and I'll flip over and see what's on the ticket.
I love that.
It's so good.
And I'll hear the ticket VO guy go, no, he doesn't come to laugh when he covers a draft, and I'm like, they're still kind of using it in some ways. And so, at that time, Skin had made so many really cool instrumentals, and we took them up to the ticket to be used as bed music. And I don't know if they know it, but they still use it for bed music. I'll be listening. I'll hear Donovan doing an ad. I'm like, that's a beat Skin made behind that right now.
Really?
Yes. It's crazy. It's a kind of little Easter egg for us when we listen.
God, well, that's only one more way in which you're an amazing cat.
Well, that's nice of you, but you're talking about a guy that looks like me doing hip hop. I look like Al Bundy.
It's a little incongruent.
I look like an undercover police officer, and that's funny. And then because I later got my shit together enough just to go get a job in sales, and I'm the black sheep of my family. My brothers are rock stars. One was the CMO of Walmart, like one of the top marketing people in the world. The other one owns his own agency, was in charge of 7-Up. Like, they're rock stars. Me, I'm a disaster. And so somebody, like, it just depends on at what point you knew me along the way to where you're like, because I have never had my shit together ever. Ever.
Neither have I. And I've been trying to get it together a lot longer than you.
But this lane you created where people can talk about the teams they love and goof off with their buddies like they're in a bunker or clubhouse together was a gift from heaven to fall into my lap. I've been full-time in radio somehow since 2008. Like, my kids, this is the only career they've ever known me to have. It's just remarkable, and I'm grateful.
Now, what's the status of your kids these days?
So my 18, this is how hard it is to get into the University of Texas now. My 18-year-old graduated as a sophomore in college, or almost a sophomore. So he'd already taken dual credit courses, knocked out his freshman year.
While he's still in high school.
While he was still in high school. Had like a 1,300 on his SAT. If he ever had a grade that was below a 95, my wife and I would look at each other going, is Max okay? We had one teacher call about him one time. They're like, hey man, this teacher called us his senior year. It's like, he's in his phone too much. Like, he's looking at sports and stuff. And we're like, what's his grade? And they were like, well, he's got a 99. I'm like,
yeah, people tell me that now.
Right. I'm like, I think he's okay. So both his uncles went to grad school and undergrad at Texas. And so he only wanted to go to Texas. If you look back at any of the pictures of him his whole life, and he's wearing Texas jerseys, he wanted to be a Longhorn, but he could not get in. That's how hard it is to get into Texas. And so he wants to be a sports agent. He wants to get a law degree and be a sports agent. And so he applied to a couple other schools that had good programs, football programs, but he never thought he would need them. He thought he was going to Texas for sure. And if he didn't get in, he'd go to JC in Austin and then transfer to Texas. But I'll be damned, out of nowhere, Alabama offered him a full academic scholarship. Full ride. Like, it's not.
Now, wait a minute. You mean one day the phone rang and it was somebody from Alabama saying, Mr. Rogers, we'd love to have Max come to the University of Alabama.
I'll tell you,
we're prepared to offer him whatever it takes to do this.
I'll tell you what, it's even weirder than that, because he applied to those schools but was so horse blinders about Texas.
Yeah.
He wasn't even checking his email. And then he caught an email that was like 3 weeks old from Alabama that said, we'd like to offer to pay your full ride. And he forwarded it to us. He was like, I think Alabama's offering to pay for my college. He goes, I'm not going to go, though. And we were like, what?
Hell, you're not.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I was like, Sanford's son, heart attack. But he went and visited a couple times, and he said when he went, he wanted to hate it. And he tried to hate it, but he eventually kind of liked the campus and decided to go. And now he's Bama for life. He was at that Bama-Georgia game, and he's got friends now, and he's settled in. So our oldest is at Alabama. I sent him the long text the other day. You've given me some great parenting advice too, and you got to. I know you
I have.
Yeah, you got to meet Max. We went to a Maverick game, and you got to meet my son, who was on a date at that game, and we talked a lot about Jordan, and we talked about Max, and we talked about raising kids and whatnot, and he's the one we have to worry about the least. All right. Like we have ones we have to worry about a lot. We have to worry about him the least. But he's settling in out there. He's having a great time. And I got a 16-year-old who requires 80% of my parental concern. And then a 13-year-old girl who is in teenage attitude right now.
The fun's about to start here.
Help me out here. Now give me a forecast of personality-wise, attitude-wise, what I'm embarking upon.
Just hang on. Just grab onto something. Hang on. It's going to be a rough ride, but it will end. One of these, you're going to feel like you have totally lost her at many different points along the way. And it's going to be really, really hard for you to deal with. You're going to think you failed as a girl dad, as a parent, but don't worry about it, because one day you're going to get her back. Yeah. Just know that, understand that. If you've never believed anything that I've ever said to you, just believe that. You will get her back one of these days.
13 sucks for everybody. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It is the worst year.
Yeah.
And it is the year that all the hormones hit and all of the things begin. But I promise you, she'll start coming back around at 14.
Good.
It may still take a while with a girl, but
no, she won't. No, she won't. It'll be well later than that.
They will run over you.
In fact, it might take till she's into her 20s.
Why?
But you'll get her back. Don't worry.
I mean, I'm only a girl. I don't really know.
Right.
But
right. Well, why? How
You've
come?
never been on the other end of it. I have.
I've kind of been on the more important end of it.
How come every time I tell you that you've given me really good advice, you're like, what is he talking about?
Because I never give. I give people bad advice.
No, you've given me great advice.
Well,
do you know
this? You can believe. This you can believe. If you've never believed anything I've told you, this you can believe, and there'll come a day when we're all well down the road, and I may or may not even be here, but you will think of this conversation once she comes back around, and you'll go, he was right about that. I promise you.
I think that a lot. You've been right about pretty much everything we've talked about, and I don't know if you. I mean, since you don't remember this great advice you've given me, or you didn't think it was that great. The last time I talked to you on the phone, I was crying.
Oh.
And I don't know if you knew that or not, but you gave me some very sound advice that time too. And it was when they decided to part ways with the freak. And I called you and I was like, we're still under contract. And so we have some tough decisions to make, life decisions. We're hurt and we're sad and we're frustrated, but we've got families and we've got a contract, which is different than, severance. It's a contract.
Yeah.
And what you said mattered to me a lot. And so I just called you and I was like, hey, I really need your guidance here. And I need to know what you think we should do. And, when you're in every bone in your body is kind of leaning towards making an irrational decision that could probably hurt your family, it's good to get some sound wisdom of like, hey, from somebody you respect tremendously in the field. And you're like, look, this is a tough situation, but you need to do what you need to do for your family. And like to hear that from you meant the world to me. And, I could, you're about the only person in the world I could have heard that from at that moment, and it would have had that impact. But I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that you you said that. I'm grateful that you cared to be compassionate and to just give me some wisdom in that moment. And it still to this day means a tremendous amount to me.
Well, I appreciate that. But the other side of that was that, I mean, after the freak, after what happened up there happened and everything, I mean, I realized, looking back on it now, I realize that I made one serious mistake and had a very bad lapse in judgment, or just wasn't seeing the big picture at the time. Because, man, once I got in there, I couldn't believe how much the game had changed. I'd been out of it for like 4 years. And foolishly, I don't know if I really thought this. I probably didn't, but I didn't take it seriously enough either way. But I thought that I would be walking into a situation that was pretty similar to what I walked away from. And I found that nothing could have been further from the truth than that. And that's where I blew that. I mean, I kind of blew it on that front, but I didn't want you to do the same thing and go down that road.
Right. Well, I'm grateful to this day. And that whole experience was so challenging, obviously. But I think we learned lessons. Speaking for myself, I learned lessons from that, just learning about how sometimes you feel like you can control things that you can't. And you go crazy trying to figure out how to control things that you have no say in or no control over. And at some point in our lives, we have to be able to compartmentalize things and still provide for our family and do what we have to do. And it's just, it was very humbling. But I'm so proud of what we did together, because I think that's one of the most special things I've ever been a part of, for all of its warts or how it ended and all those things. But while it was happening, I enjoyed it more than anything I've ever been a part of. Well,
you will never convince me, or they will never convince me. Nobody will ever convince me that we were not having an impact out there, and that impact may have not shown up ratings wise, but I had so many people come up to me and tell me that they liked what we were doing and that they were into what we were doing. And I still have that today. People still come up to me and tell me that they miss it, that they thought we were on a good path, that we were giving them something that was not out there anywhere else, and that they appreciated it. And now that it's not there, it's, a chunk of their scene that is no longer there, and they do miss it.
Yeah, I think I can speak for both of y'all that any moment that we were on the air, it did not feel like we were struggling or that things were against us or whatever. Like, I felt great about the shows we were putting out. I felt great about seeing all the people I got to work with each day. I just hope there's no regret or guilt or whatever, especially on your part, Ben, because you're the one that really this all falls on,
Look at him.
But seriously,
Shoopy.
Seriously, it was just a really amazing experience, at least personally for me. And, the fact that I get to work with Shoopy again in a third workplace and all that, that wouldn't have happened if I kept going on the path that I was. And I wouldn't have had any regrets, I don't think, of staying on that path. But getting that opportunity to get back into radio or something radio adjacent like we're doing now, it's still the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, I have no regrets about it at all.
There were some great memories that we made along the way, and then in that short time. But maybe the thing that I'll take away the most with regard to you two guys is, while we were plotting and planning and trying to figure out a way to make it work, I remember the day we called you, Rhynes, and it was, hey, we're getting grooves. And of all of the time, all the different things we had talked about along the way, that was the single happiest he ever was. And you were downright giddy.
Oh, yeah, I was.
So badass.
I was. That was a real red letter day for me.
Yeah.
To get to work with Shoopy again and do those things that we used to do in that way that we did them once again, and we really kind of fell right back into that mode.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing was, Shoopy and I had seen each other in the 10 years that I was out of radio, but, we didn't know how it was going to work. Like, I felt like I would get there eventually maybe, but I didn't know. And especially the first few days, there was so much to learn, so much to figure out, but the chemistry that I felt with everybody, but especially Shoopy, it did just come right back where, especially the way that we were situated, you were always looking pretty much right into the control room at me.
Yes.
We were always able to catch each other's eye or, just what, Ashley?
What? What's so funny?
It just made me think of dating. Oh, we got to look deep into each other's eyes.
Oh, we look deep into each other's eyes.
Oh, yes, we do.
I got lost in those baby blues.
But it's a magical chemistry that you guys have with one another because you're the only one that likes grooves, and that's really
I know, it's really amazing.
incredible.
Isn't it?
No, it's like you guys. Everyone loves both of you, and it's like, but you guys have this thing, and when you see each other and hit the shoopies start popping off, everybody loves that so much. But it's an authentic, really cool chemistry y'all have.
We still do it every day when I come over to his house.
That's right, every day.
And you know what? You used to call. What would you say about him? Would you say the devil himself or something? What didn't he say something like that?
Did I call you the devil's own? No, I called Gordon that.
You would just usually call me the devil.
Yeah, he's the devil.
Yeah.
And we've worked with groups a lot, and I think he's the best to ever do what he does. But once we started doing a show with him, I understood what you meant because he can just destroy your soul with drops, and you're just helpless. You just got to take it. And they're all hilarious, so you just got to sit there and take
he
it.
could just take them and make the world see just what an idiot you were.
Yes.
Let's go to a dark place here.
And to that end,
keep that hold tight.
You guys, when you had Tim Rogers on, you guys talked about imposter syndrome and all that. That's something that has been with me the whole time. I keep expecting someone to kick down the door and go, "Hey, dumbass, get out of here! How are you in here? You cannot be here right now."
Yeah, I have.
We wonder that too with you.
Yes, I understand.
I have it too. And it's something that's followed me around my entire life. It probably always will. There's just something in the back of my head saying, you don't belong here. You don't deserve any of this. You're not good enough for this. So probably what you ought to do is just get away from it and go disappear into the netherworld somewhere.
See, I understand why I have it. I don't understand why you have it. You were at a Mavs game with the Soroy boys, and the arena spontaneously gave you a standing ovation. You should never have that.
I was going to say, that was one of the coolest things because I was actually filling in for DJ Poison Ivy that night. So I got the heads up that Shoopy was there, got to play the Hardline theme for him and all that. So, but seeing the crowd reaction, that went for a decent while.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was
pretty awesome, Shoopy.
It is pretty awesome, Shoopy.
Hey, I want to ask you about this. One of my favorite people we worked with in our career was the great Randy Galloway. And Skin and I got to work with him at ESPN for a while. And it's been neat for me to see you guys kind of connect now, at this point in your careers. And both of you guys are giants, and mean so much to us. But, obviously the way the ticket was positioned, it was like us against the world, right? Mm-hmm. And so he was out there in the world. But you guys are cool. What do you think about Randy Galloway?
Well, for years and years, we went up against him when he was at WBAP. And it was, when I compete with somebody, I can compete pretty hard. Probably harder than I should, but I'll grind on you. Mm-hmm. Now though, damn.
Yay.
Damn. See what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the devil.
Do your show.
The devil.
Where was I?
Just about Galloway.
You're grinding on Galloway.
Yeah. I mean, now he's out of the game. I'm out of the game, and I don't know how he feels about it, but I kind of look back at it and say, you know, that you really got kind of uptight for what, you know? And we've made friends. He came on to the first round of Your Dark Companion. We had a really nice conversation that day. And if I haven't run into him in a long time, but if I ever do, I will greet him warmly. And I hope he's well. And his work out there and the work that he did both at the paper and on the radio is missed.
Yeah, agreed. And I want to share this with you. So while we were at ESPN, Randy Galloway was so good at being a columnist and being a talk show host. Very few people could do both, right? He was excellent at both.
And the crazy thing is he did both just by being himself.
Yes.
You know?
Just being himself. And so they would say to the ESPN Dallas guys, they started ESPN Dallas and they had these writers and they're like, hey, we need you guys to go be radio hosts and we need you hosts to go be writers. And we're like, it's not that easy to go do both things. He made it look easy because to your point, he was himself, but Randy was, you would have loved the way he dealt with corporate America because he was the 800-pound gorilla at ESPN locally. And these big suits would come in town and they're having this big meeting and he's in the meeting they're going, hey guys, we need you to do this, this, and this. And Galloway's in there with sunglasses on. And he's like, guys, this is all bullshit. Don't do anything these suits are telling you. You just be yourself. You know, it's like, it was rad, dude. It was really cool to see him. And I know you would have respected the hell out of that.
Oh, yes, I would have. He was one of a kind. He is one of a kind.
Yeah, agreed.
And the game misses him, man.
Yeah.
The game really misses him.
I miss Frito, too. I've been thinking about him a lot lately. Frito, obviously a great relationship with all you guys, but especially Groobs, I believe, right? Don't you?
Absolutely. Like, we were really close, especially when I was interning with Norm. But even after that, you know, he was always the one defending me from other management types that maybe didn't enjoy some of the things that I would try to do. But Frito was just an incredible friend. And, you know, he actually showed up to one of our remotes, one of the Speakeasies remotes, like a few weeks before he passed. And it was just shocking because he seemed vibrant. He seemed typical, was it sardonic Frito, just kind of, you know, always acting like everything's a little bit stupid, but still a really great attitude about everything. And yeah, I still can't believe it's been almost a year now that he passed.
Now, for those who may not know who we're talking to, Frito is Mark Friedman. He was Norm's producer for years, right?
Yeah.
And he was another of the many one-of-a-kind personalities that you run across in this game. And he had a shall we say, sarcastic and if not sardonic way about him.
Yeah.
He was skeptical of just about everyone and everything.
Yeah, conspiracy theory Frito.
Yeah, he was a...
Oh, shoot me. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
He was a walking conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the only guys in radio you'd run across that actually had spirals of manifestos. And when we were at ESPN, he was our boss. He brought us over there. And so we were at ESPN and when we went to back-to-back World Series trips with the Rangers and the Mavs won the NBA championship. And we traveled to all those games, home and away, or went to the home games, traveled to the away games with Frito and spent a ton of time with him. But he actually went to our same high school. He went to Berkner High School, same school Skin and I went to. And I think he helped us kind of wedge our foot in at the ticket as well and then helped our career later on. And I think about him a lot and miss him, man. He was such a good dude.
He was a good dude. I miss him too. Does having to constantly spell your name bother you?
What do you mean?
Just what I said.
Why do I got to spell it?
Don't you have to spell it a lot for people?
No. What do you mean? My last name?
Or your mostly your last name.
Because it's what do you think my name is?
Well, I think it's Rogers, but you know, some people put a D in there.
That's because Ben is a D.
Yes.
Wait, shit. We have a Carson Rogers and a Dalen Rogers at Texas Wesleyan. And the entire season last year, I spelled our starting quarterback's name wrong because I had a D in it and I was spelling it
Yes.
R-O-G-E-R. Yeah.
Yes. There.
The correct way.
I wonder what is the percentage. I should look this up. What is the percentage of people named Rogers that spell it with a D and without a D?
I'll bet with the D is considerably lower.
Right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
bet most people spell it like you do.
Yeah. Those jerks need to explain how to spell their name. I'm just doing it the right way.
Because they're,
Yeah.
Rogers.
Right. I mean,
Rogers.
they're Rodgers. I mean, how did
Yeah, but
Fred?
you're Rogers.
How did Fred Rogers do it? Like, let's go to the phones.
We can get the phones.
Fred Rogers. Hey, Fred Rogers is probably the most famous Rogers, right? Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood?
Yes, I think Fred Rogers.
Right. So he's the king of the Rogers name. So he should,
Well, there was Phil Rogers. He might have something to say about that of the Dallas Morning News.
Okay.
No, he's not as popular as Mr. Rogers.
There's
You
what
don't
about
know that.
Okay, here's where it could get complicated. Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Aaron
See,
Rodgers.
there's a Rodgers.
Yes, that could be problematic.
All right, what we need is for one of these guys who spells it with a D to start pronouncing it that way. Let's go 3 syllables here. Rodgers.
Yes.
Rodgers drops back to pass.
That does feel like something Aaron would do just to be different or
Yes.
get some more notice.
Yeah.
You think the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't see how they couldn't. It's all falling into place exactly as
Boy,
they
it really is, isn't it?
This is
They're
great
all
sports
in.
talk. By the
Yeah,
way, I want to make sure that we ask this question because it's on my calendar. We need to ask you about anal bleaching.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah. So I'm for it. And there's 17
Do you
reasons
practice
why.
it?
I do. I get professionally bleached though. I don't ever.
He doesn't practice.
I don't trust amateurs around my butthole. And unlike you guys who are really out there taking huge risks. No, I've never understood. Who is it getting bleached for?
I don't know. I mean,
Anybody.
are there emporiums that do this or
Yes.
Yeah.
there are?
Anal bleaching
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've never been really a butt play guy. It's never really been a factor for me.
Whatever.
I think there's pink eye, dangers of pink eye. Who knows? Like you really have to be comfortable with somebody to get down in there. I would be very careful. Yeah.
Where might one get this done at if one wanted to?
I don't know.
Ben's got a guy.
And
Have you got a lot of guys?
I got a staff. It's a bleach crew. I call them in after a tough weekend.
No, I mean just in general. Do you have a lot of guys?
Louis Med Spa.
Yeah, I think I do.
You think you got a lot of guys?
I think I do. And I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think Post Malone has a new song out where he's talking about I have a guy for that. I think it's and it's the idea that everybody has a guy. If I find a guy, it doesn't matter if it's car detail guy, handyman guy, fence stain guy, car guy.
Yeah.
I stick with them loyally for life. And we have a guy who we go to for automotive advice. He's just been that guy. And while I was pulling up here, I saw my wife texting him, "Hey, I just took my son's car to the dealership and they say we need this valve." I was like, "Honey, he's not your guy. You can't bother him for the rest of life. He's my guy. Only my car needs. I can only call him."
What's cooking on you guys' minds today?
It was so funny. Was that the Saturday show? Right?
Yes.
And so
What was it?
The car guy on Saturday.
Yeah, the automotive edge with
yes.
Kurt Chuck.
And why was there interaction with him?
Okay, so I remember this because you, me, and Skin filmed that Chili's Rollertown commercial. And after we finished and we're driving away, Skin freaks out calling both of us saying, "Dude, have you heard this car show that's on the Freak at, Saturdays at 10 or that's going on right now?" He's like, "This is like the greatest radio I've ever heard." And it just kind of progressed from there where we, of course, tune in after Skin hangs up with us. And then I think it was like the very next week you somehow wrangled your way onto a show or no, Skin was calling in and just asking crazy questions and all that. And
I got questions about my muffler. And he would just call into their show. And then, so Strip Ball Steve would mix with them, right?
Yeah, Strip Ball Steve and KT had their weekend show. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden they started mixing with them and it became a whole thing. And
because they would say, "Hey guys, we're going to be out in Rowlett today, and if you come out and join us, we'll make you a burger." And I'm like, man, I don't know if financially that makes sense to drive to Rowlett for a free burger that this guy made.
The burger master.
But he is the burger master.
Yeah, it's kind of a poor investment of time, if not money. For sure. Let's see. Did I talk to you about raising a girl yet? Yeah. Being a girl dad? I did.
Yeah.
We got
through all that.
Yeah, we got through all that. I'm just gonna hold on and hope that she gets into her 20s quickly. It's so much attitude. It's like we're experiencing it. Like yesterday. So she's a basketball player, and I love this. So with my boys, probably pushed them too much to play baseball and get lessons and stuff like that. They got burnt out early. So with her, she loves basketball. I wasn't going to try to push her in basketball at all. But I love basketball. I still play. It's not well, but I love the game of basketball. And so she's right-handed, and she can get to the bucket pretty much anytime she wants right now. She's one of the taller girls, but she's got decent handles. But no left hand yet and no shot yet. Mm-hmm. And so she always gets the ball right next to the sideline. The sideline's an extra defender. And so I was like, I'm going to tell her one little thing. I'm just going to tell her one little thing. So I was like, hey, honey, I noticed that you're getting the ball on the right. Can I show you something here? Like, pretend that's the goal. Like, when you get the ball, you're over here on the right side. And since you're really only going to your right, you don't have a lot of space over there and you're getting jammed up over there. So if you start maybe at the top of the key, you get that whole right side of the court to go to. And I just wanted to point that out. And she looked at me like she wanted to kill me. She goes, "That's the play we run." And I was like, "You only have one play?" She goes, "That's where the coach wants me." And I was like, "Oh, so you couldn't say?" She goes, "No, that's the play." And I was like, "Good talk." I mean, it was like, all right. I'll see you at your next game. 13, dude. The attitude is strong.
Oh, man. I remember it well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm about out of shit here, man. Unless you've got anything else. I've run through my entire list of stuff to talk to you about. And I cannot thank you enough for doing this today, man.
This is an honor. And I've been enjoying watching the episodes. The team you've assembled is insane. Like, I love everybody in this room. You have a really talented team. And, all of us, you see what's happening with like sports franchises even. They don't even know where their TV content's going to go. Are we going to start our own company? Are we going to do it? We're at a fascinating time in media where we
really are.
It's all evolving and changing. And, and so I see you guys out blazing a trail. It's really cool to see the quality of the stuff you guys are putting out. The video looks gorgeous. It's obviously very entertaining, but the team you've assembled is phenomenal. So, dude, I'm honored to do it. Thank you for the invite, man. It means a lot.
It will get better. He is the great Ben Rogers.
Yay.
This has been your Dark Companion. But before we go, I must tell you one more time about Smoky Rose, the Tex-Mex barbecue joint, which is in the heart of their community over there in East Dallas. Now, when I say they're in the heart of the community, I mean that. They are really a part of the community. They are located right across the street from the Arboretum on Garland Road. You can't get much more East Dallas than that. You need the burn ends at Smoky Rose. Believe me when I tell you, you don't just want them, you need them. Brisket that melts in your mouth. All their meats are smoked in their wood-burning smoker, low and slow, which is the way you're supposed to do this. It brings out all the best of the flavors, and if you want to go the salad route, well, they got several to choose from, and they are all loaded with the freshest ingredients. They're all about that at Smoky Rose, too. Whichever way you choose, there is no wrong way, and you will not go hungry. And don't forget, grab a carefully crafted cocktail. The Vodka Bar will be open. They're located in East Dallas, right across the street from the Arboretum. 8602 Garland Road. They're open for brunch on Sundays. They got a seat waiting for you right there in a large, comfy booth or on their patio. And don't forget, on the 11th of October, we will be out there from 5 until 9. The whole gang will be there. You can join all your old friends and your new ones, hosts from every show on the Sunset Lounge. That means Shippy and Grooves will be there for crying out loud. Yes.
You hear that, Ben?
Shippy and Grooves. You hear that, Ben?
I've got a show.
I love those two
two
guys.
shows.
Yes.
Beer 30 Sports O'Clock will be there. The Clubhouse will be there. Mac Engel with the Engel Angle will be there. And new shows such as Insurance Unhinged, What You're In Game, and of course, the entire Your Dark Companion crew will be there. We will be there. We want to see you there. October 11th, 5 to 9, Smoky Rose on Garland Road, not Smoky Road on Garland Rose. Smoky Rose on Garland Road. We want to see you there. Anything further here? Anybody?
No. We're tail spinning. Let's go.
We're tail spinning? All right. Well, let's spin on out and crash and burn.
All right. I'm going to go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.